Good afternoon. Am I audible? Okay, good to know that all of you are at least done with the basics, because this is an advanced session. So if you are still taking classes, or if you have not watched the videos, then you might not be able to get full benefit of it. So it's good to note that you guys have at least done the basics, right? So today's session will be on sentence correction, and not all of sentence correction, because sentence correction is 1/3 of the exam. So we cannot do all of sentence correction in one session. So as you know that every Saturday we have this session. So today's session will be on one part of sentence correction. So basically in today's session I'll start with parallel construction. As you know, so this is the most commonly tested rule. Those of you who have started doing practice sessions, you might have seen that most of your questions have some form of parallel construction. Often it is combined, it comes combined with some other rule, but there are also quite a few high level questions which can completely be solved if you are thorough with your parallel construction. Okay, so now some ground rules for this session. So when I'm speaking, so I would not want you guys to post any questions or anything on the chat window, because that will be a little distracting. After each question I'll give you some time so to discuss that particular question, or I may even ask you questions. So only then you type on the chat window, otherwise don't. It's a little distracting. Okay. So parallel construction is the most commonly tested rule, no doubt about it. It helps save a lot of time. So all of you already know that in 41 questions you have to do in 75 minutes. I don't have to tell you that, you already know that. So in verbal you are supposed to solve 41 questions in 75 minutes. So this is like less than 2 minutes per question. And it does not even take into consideration the time required to read the reading comprehension passages. So you will get 3 to 5 RC passages, right? You know that already, and you will need time. You will need again like 3 to 5 minutes to if it's a very long passage, you may need 4 to 5 minutes. So 3 to 5 minutes of reading time you will need, right? So this 75 minutes actually, you have to worst case scenario, you have to kind of take out around 20 minutes of RC reading time. So you are left with actually 55 minutes. So in 55 minutes you have to solve the questions, right? Everybody able to understand this logic? So if you take out the time necessary to read the RC passages, you are left with 55 minutes in which you have to solve 41 questions. In CR, there is no possibility of cutting down on a time, because you have to read the question stem, you have to read the argument, you have to read each option carefully. So there is no if you try to cut down time on CR, if you try to just go fast, then you may end up making mistakes, because there are some tricky words. One word can be the reason why you are eliminating an answer option. So you cannot do that with a CR. Reading comprehension similarly, of course not to the extent of CR, but in RC questions also, while solving RC questions also, you will need to read the question very carefully. You will have to then go back to the passage, read the relevant portion, then come back and read the options and eliminate. So in short, what I am trying to say is that CR and RC, it's very difficult to spend lesser than a minute. It's very difficult to do that. You have to spend a minute and a half on the questions. But SC is our opportunity. Sentence correction is the opportunity. Whether you are a classroom student or an online student, the Jamboree strategies, their objective is to help you get SC questions correct in less than 30 seconds, right? So the 13-14 SC questions that you will get, so if you are able to solve them in 7 minutes, 8 minutes, so you are saving a lot of time. So let's say that you are able to done with all SC questions in 8 minutes, right? So you are left with 48 minutes now. Everybody understands, 47 minutes, let's say, you are left with 47 minutes now for roughly 1/3 of the 41 questions, which will be which will be like 26, 27 questions. So now that becomes then doable, that becomes manageable, right? So this is how you have to approach. So when you are after watching the videos, when you go on to the sectional, the SC sectional test, or whenever you are doing any practice questions of SC, exercises of SC, you should strive to solve them in less than 30 seconds. Now the GMAT in itself, the 41 questions by themselves, they're not tough. What's problematic is that you have to do all of them correct in 75 minutes. That is the problem. So the moment you start getting into practice mode, before you get into full length test, right? Before you get into full length test, you have to get this timing right. You have to make sure that you are solving your SC questions in 30 seconds or less. Actually, by using some of the tricks, you should be able to solve even tougher SC questions in less than 10-15 seconds. So today's session, now parallel construction, I'll cover the concept a little bit, purely because more of a revision kind of thing, but I will mainly focus on how to identify that a particular question is testing parallel construction rule. Although you guys are done with your classes, you guys are done with your videos, so you have learned a bunch of rules for sentence correction, right? So there is a parallelism, there is a subject verb agreement, there are tons of rules. Knowing the rules is not enough. What you need to know, what you need to do to be able to solve, to be able to hit that under 30-second mark, to be able to hit that, you will need to know which rule to apply in what question. I hope I'm able to make sense, right? Knowing 100 rules does not do the trick for you. You probably know the 100, 200 rules that we have taught you. You know that. I don't doubt that, right? But on the day of the exam, you cannot, when you see a question, you cannot try to apply all the 200 rules that you know. You have to look for identifiers, right? You have to look for identifiers. You need to know which rule to apply in what question. Everybody is able to understand what I'm trying to say? Everybody clear? Now the good thing about parallel construction is that it is the most commonly tested rule. Yes, it saves a lot of time. When you know that, okay, I have to look for parallel construction error, so it helps save a lot of time. Plus, good thing is that it's very easy to identify. Whether a question is testing you on parallel construction or not, it's very easy to identify. So if you get parallel construction thorough, if you are able to get the identifiers done, then it's guaranteed that you will be able to solve the parallel construction questions in less than 30 seconds, maybe even 10-15 seconds, right? Okay, so before we proceed, I just like a very quick recap of parallel construction, what is meant by parallel construction. I'm sure you already know it, but I will still do a very quick recap in case you have forgotten or whatever. So parallel construction sounds complicated. The name sounds complicated and very technical, but it's not. It just means that sentence has to stay same. The formation of a sentence, it has to stay same. It cannot sound different, or it cannot sound jarring. So I'll give you a simple example. Let's say that I love to eat, drink, and sleep, right? So here, of course, your parallel construction identifier is and, right? Whenever you have things joined by the word and, they have to be parallel. Now in this sentence is perfect. Now I love to eat is a verb, drink is a verb, sleep is a verb. This sentence is parallel. But if I say I love to if I say I love this same sentence, if I say I love eating, drinking, okay, just pardon my handwriting, and sleeping, so that is also correct, because all the three things that are being joined by the word and, they are all following the same format. I have got I love, okay, eating, right, ing. So I have got the ing here, I have got the ing here, I have got the ing here. So both the sentences are parallel, so they are following the same format, they are following the same structure. Now if I have to say, now let's take another example. I love eating drinking and sometimes to sleep. Right? So the problem with this is that, okay, eating, this portion ing, drinking, this portion is ing, this is not. This is also a verb, by the way. It's just that it's not in the ing form, so this is not parallel, right? So this is very basic, and that's it basically. No, a parallel construction, you don't have to go into something complicated. You just have to look for whether the structure is parallel or not. Now what GMAT is of course not going to test you straight on whether it's ing or not, whether it's like I love eating, drinking and sleeping, whether it's not going to be that straightforward. Very often it will be like, say, let's take a pair of, no, not only but also, very common pair, right? So parallelism occurs in pairs also, so not only something but also something, right? Everybody has heard of this pair, very common pair, right? So now here, after not only, if it's going to be a noun, you know, whatever is after, immediately after not only, you know, if it's going to be a noun, you know, if this is going to be a noun, this also has to be a noun, right? If it's a verb, simple verb, this also has to be a verb. If it's an ing verb, this also has to be an ing verb. If it is something like not only some preposition plus verb, but also has to be some preposition plus verb. Okay, now all of you know that preposition, you know, verb, every verb takes a certain preposition. So what the preposition will depend on which verb. So it's not that you need the exactly same preposition, but the format has to be same. Okay, so if it's no, this is something that is commonly tested on the higher difficulty level questions on parallel construction. This is what is tested, that if the form is preposition plus verb, you know, a lot of students, they look after but also, they look for the same preposition, but you don't need the same preposition. It can be a different preposition. So after not only, if you have on, let's say, you know, you don't need an on here, right? It can be a to also. It depends on which verb. So these are some higher level formation, but you have to keep your eyes open for this. So everybody clear? I'm parallel construction otherwise is pretty straightforward to understand, right? So everybody okay with the recap? I don't think you needed it, but I just wanted to start off with this. Everybody clear? Any questions? Okay, so Suminder, thanks. Right, okay, now the identifiers, remember, I told you that it's not enough to know the rule. You also need to know that that parallel construction is being tested on that particular question. And is a very popular word on the GMAT, and please feel free to take notes. Okay, so and so whenever there is and, now where can and occur? This and can be the first few words of the underlined portion, right? This and can be the first few words before the underlined portion, right? So these are the locations, you know, to look for the and, you know, I mean, if you, after you are done with a lot of questions, this will anyway pop at you, right? So before the underlined portion, this and can also appear in the last few words of the underlined portion. UP means underlined portion, by the way, not Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so it can also appear in the first word after, first few words after the underlined portion, right? So most students, most people, what I have seen is that they are easily able to identify these two locations. You know, they see, okay, first few words, underlined portion is like has and, let me test for parallel construction. First word or couple of words before you have got an and, you know, in the sentence, you know, so they are able to identify these. But these two locations are also extremely important. If the last word of the underlined portion is and, so that also, then also there can be parallel construction error. So you have to start, you know, just to eliminate, basically you have to check whether the rules of parallel construction are being followed or not, right? This location is actually one that students usually ignore, right? The first few words after the underlined portion, not before, after. No, how many of you look at this location, the first few words after the underlined portion? Do you guys have the habit of checking there to look for errors? Yes, no? Yep, yes, no? Some answers. Okay, great. So if you're already doing it, it's good. But the higher difficulty level questions, the advanced questions, this is where the indicators will be, you know, not in the beginning portion. So so that's why you have to now develop the habit of looking at the first couple of words after the underlined portion also. Now and is a very, you know, so the moment you see and, you know, in these, any of these locations, the first rule that you should try out is parallel construction. I'm not saying that that is the only rule that will probably, you know, be used. There may be other rules also, but there's a very high probability that you should be you know, able to eliminate 2 to 3 options using parallel construction. Another set, you know, then there are words such as but, or, you know, these are not as common as and, but still important, and their appearance in these, again, the same 4 locations also indicates that you have parallel construction. Now one thing you have to be careful with or is that or can either come on its own, that you know, the first prize can be given to A, B, C or D. So in that case the or is coming independently. But often on the GMAT the or comes as a pair with either or, right? So same thing with but can come independently also, that I like to eat, but I like to, yeah, right, okay, I like okay, so but can come independently, like I like to eat but it should be good, something like that. But can come independently also. But on the other hand, you know, like but very often on the GMAT it comes as a pair, as not but or not but rather. So with but and or, so and is always, you know, always independent, right? But with but and or, so they can be a part of pair, so you have to look out for that. So if you see spot an or in these locations, and go back to see whether there is an either associated with it or not. Then if there is an either associated with it, then it's even easier, the parallel construction becomes even easier. So these are some of the common identifiers of most common identifiers of parallel construction. So we'll do do a couple of questions using which I'll show you that even after identifying these you know, words, you can solve it in less than 10 seconds. You know, a lot of students, what they do is that they spot these words, then they end up reading a lot of unnecessary words. The fewer words that you learn to read, you know, the more time you will be saving. So the questions that I'm going to discuss with you today, they are usually some of the high difficulty level questions, and still you will be able to solve them in less than 10 seconds. Everybody clear? So next time you see any of these words in any of these locations, start your elimination process with parallel construction. It will save you a lot of time. All clear? Yes? Should we proceed to the questions? Should we proceed to the actual questions? If you have any doubts, any concerns, feel free to ask before we go into the actual questions. Okay, no. Okay, this is the question. So I'll give you 10 seconds to solve. Okay, time's up. Now take some extra stuff, take some more time, and let me know what's the correct answer. Everybody, you guys are able to see the question, right? So Arnav has given the answer. How about the rest of you? Okay. So B is the correct answer, but all of you took way too much time. All of you took way too much time. So now let me show you how it should have been done, right? So even when you're looking at the options, you see the and, right? Remember we told the last few words, you see the and, right? So you should be directly checking for parallel construction. And means there's going to be at least one more thing, right? So we have got here, we see acting and sound. So first of all, let's eliminate based on that. Acting and to sound not parallel. Acting and sounding sounds fine, so let's stick with it. To act and sound, to actors and sound, so this is also fine. No, to actor, this is also fine, right? So so now these two actors and this is again, this does not make sense. So now after 3, which one should we go? Again, I am sure the moment you identified, you came down to these two options, you probably went and read the whole sentence. Some bad case, like honeybee, blah blah blah, right? You might have done that. What you miss is this word such as. Such as is used to give examples. Such as is used to give examples. So right above all of this is the word such as. So when you spot the word such as, so you don't have to read all this position, all this stuff. You don't have to read all this stuff. You just read starting from such as. Such as protecting, so this is one thing. Now such as is giving examples, right? 1, 2, 3 examples it will be giving. So the first thing is protecting. Second thing is, so the moment you see ing is in the non-underlined portion. It is not in the underlined portion, right? So you can directly eliminate everything that does not have the ing. So you are left with B. You didn't even have to read as much as you did. I'm not saying that if you started by reading some bad case like honey, I'm not saying that's wrong approach, but that takes time. I'm trying to give you strategies to cut down on time, to help you solve questions in less than 10 seconds, right? So keep an eye out for the word such as. Such as is used to give example. The moment you see such as, so you just have to read from after such as. And in the underlined portion you see, in the non-underlined portion you see that the first item, first example is starting with ing. So the other two also have to be with ing. So eliminate all the stuff that all the stuff that don't have ing, that don't in the first word is not ing. Everybody understood? All of you see, this is not a very tough question. All of you got the correct answer B, but that's not what I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to help you solve this question in less than 10 seconds. Okay, so you'll remember the tricks, right? Everybody clear why I did not read the stuff before such as? Everybody understood? Yes. Okay. So I'm sure all of you already knew that such as is used, but now the application part of it, you know, how to apply that information to save time. Okay, next question. So again, you guys are taking way too much time. How about the rest of you? Rupal, Suminder. Sometimes, you know, you guys overcomplicate things. So that's what I am trying to tell you, you know, not to do. This question, yes, B is the correct answer. But the objective is not to come to the correct answer. The objective is to come to the correct answer in the least possible time. Yes, everybody with me on this? Remember, we cannot cut down time on RC and CR. We have to learn to cut down time on SC. Okay. Remember, I told you that, you know, in this, if you see the one word, so the last word of the underlined portion is but. So we like it. Yes, we can check for parallel construction. So we see. So not. So I also see the word not here. The moment I read the first option, I also spot the word not. So not and but is a pair. Everybody knows, right? Not XYZ, but this is a pair. And remember what I told you about pairs. The word immediately after the not, they have to be of the same time. Don't read too much. So here I see not resulted is a what? Is a verb. So but, now this commonplace. Commonplace is not a verb. Out. Not after one word after the not is from. I have got but from. So from is a preposition. I have a preposition. So great. I stay with B. Here after not I have a preposition not of. But after but I don't have any preposition. Out. Not of but have. Again. Not parallel. Not from but have. Out. So B is your answer. Okay. So I'm sure you guys also probably use this same thing, but you probably ended up reading all the options. The moment you spot a parallelism pair, just check for this. Don't worry. I mean, did you guys notice that I didn't even read the word result, blah blah blah, false? I just read one word after the not and one word after the but. This is and you can do it in less than 10 seconds. The first trick is to identify that it's a parallel construction question, which you did when you saw this but, right? And then when you looked a little deeper, you also saw the not, and you will know that not and but is a pair. So the hard work is done, you know. After this is where you guys go wrong. You end up reading all the options, whereas you just have to read this. You have to read these. That's it. Now you have to train your brain to do this. Everybody clear? Arnav, no, it won't be. No matter how long a sentence is, the rules of parallelism apply. If you have identified that your not and but is a pair, then no matter how many lines you have, you know, separating the not and the but, it does not matter. It has to follow this rule of parallelism. That's the easy part. Remember, I told you that parallel construction is very easy. That's why it's easy. Rupal, you know, sometimes, say, if you are, say, in this case, you directly got the answer B. But I agree, yes, if you know B and C, let's say both of them are parallel, then yes, you have to read deeper. I agree with this, you know that. But if you are able to eliminate 4 options, then great. Understood, Rupal? I will also now show you question, by the way, where you'll have to do a little more work. In this case, it's just done, you know. Suminder, you know, these tricks, you know, these tricks will be the differentiators between, you know, you and the other people who will be taking the GMAT. You use these tricks, you save time on SC. You save time on SC, you can focus on CR and RC. So you don't panic, you don't get, you know, flustered, and you don't get nervous, and that is like half the battle won anyway, right? Okay. So try this, guys. I know this goes against all you know, all the habits that we have, you know, right from school days or college days. We have been taught to read properly, pay attention. So this goes against a lot of the things that we have learned till now. But you have to unlearn quite a lot when it comes to sentence correction, right? Sentence correction is more like math for me, you know. It's hard and fast. Okay, right. Yeah, so Arnav, today we are doing, because parallel construction itself is a big rule, so today's session is going to be for parallel construction. So we have everything. So I mean, you are one of our students, so you will be attending, you will keep on attending these sessions, I believe. So of course, you know, you will, you know, see, I don't want to cram everything in one session. First of all, it's impossible. Secondly, you will not, the more practice you get, you know, the more confidence you will do, you will have actually. Okay, so now let's take another question. Now try to implement what I discussed in the first question. This is you should have got it by now. Come on guys. Okay, great. But you should have been able to do it in even, you know, this is a 5-second question, right? The moment you see or, remember I told you that or can come independently also, but it can come with either. So you read and see, when you read now, see, a lot of you probably start with under, safe, drinking, blah blah blah. No, don't read like that. Go hunting for words, right? You see or you see if there's an either associated, you know, with it, instead of reading from the top. So you see the word either, so you see either to, you need or to, only this has done. That's it. This is all that is required in this question. But if you read like under, safe, drinking water act, the environmental protection agency is required, it's way too much, you know, way too many words to read. So you have to train your brain, you know, the moment you see the word or, you know that it is like before the underlying portion. So like, you know, excellent location. The first rule that you will be testing is parallel construction. So you first see whether it's associated with an either. Yes, it is. The moment you identify the pair either or, doesn't matter what the pair is, any parallel construction pair, you know, this rule applies. So either to, you need the or to. Done. In and out in less than 10 seconds. Yes, you are able to get some confidence. How many of you did it like this? See, nobody is going to give you extra points for reading the question. You get points to get the question correct, you know. So just the objective should be to get the question correct in as little time as possible. Okay, this was just practice to follow up on whatever we discussed in the previous question. So this is, you know, this should not have taken you longer than 5-10 seconds. The more you keep applying this, as I said, it's a habit that you have to break. The more you keep applying this, I don't have to tell you, you know, after a couple of weeks you will be able to solve this question in 5 seconds. But you have to keep applying. That's the key. You have to keep applying. You cannot go revert to your, you know, like older methods. Yes, Arnav, you seem to be typing a long question. Anybody has any questions on any like doubts, any concerns, anything with this question? Did you guys try out the technique? Okay, so moving on. Now that you are a little more confident. Okay, let's try this. Too much time, too much time. You guys are taking too much time. Come on. Okay. Yes, C is the answer. Are you guys able to keep up? Am I too fast? Are you guys able to keep up? Keep up with the explanations and the tricks and the strategies? Everybody able to keep up? Okay. Right, so we see the and here, perfectly located and. The first rule that we try out is obviously parallel construction. So in this thing we look for the the usual suspects, we don't have any such as, etc., blah blah blah, so in this case we have to read a bit. The Congress approved immigration bill that would grant something, and this. Okay, so now after and, this is one thing, right? We can have a structure of would plus verb, or we can have a simple verb also, right? Remember, we have this would. Now all of you know math, right? AB plus AC is correct, yes, and AB plus C is also correct, yes. So the would can either would grant and something, it can be of that structure also, so which will come under this, or it can be this also. So if any option had would penalize, so that would also have been correct, by the way. So I'm just trying to tell you, in this question you don't have that option here. So when you're looking for after and, now when you're hunting, you should be looking for, if you find this structure, this is also fine. If you find a simple verb, that is also fine. So we see, if not hiring, we don't want ing. Penalize, okay, grant, penalize, fine. Penalizing, out. Employers, out, right? So C is your answer. But all I'm trying to say is that if there was an option that would have said would penalize, that would also have been correct. Understood, everybody? Am I clear? So don't be stuck that that it would have to be with lots of these words, like whether it's a has, have, lot of these type of words, they can come in this. I will show you some questions now where this is followed, and you will have no way of knowing which one is being followed. So this one, in this case, luckily we had this this format. Everybody able to keep up? Everybody able to understand? So in this question, so this Rupal, Suminder, were you guys able to do it in like 5 seconds? Yes, no? This should have been a 5-second, 10-second question. Okay. Great. Do some more questions, and it will boost your confidence. Now we'll move to a slightly difficult level of parallel construction. So till now the questions that we have discussed, it is they were supposed to help you identify the parallel construction trigger and solve the question as fast as possible. But now these are little higher level difficulty questions, right? Okay, so in this question, yes, as well as is as good as and, of course, so because the underlined portion is starting with that, so we check for parallel construction. Now whether it's and as well as, now this is a thing that as well as is always used to join two things, not more than two things, right? Whereas and can join 2 things, 3 things, 4 things, whatever. So whenever you have to choose between as well as and, you count the items. That's what you do. So you read and see the bylaws of a blah blah blah, how specify how the something something, whether the second thing. So there are 3 things. So your as well as options are wrong, so you are left with this. Now let's check for parallel construction. So how the directors, okay, whether something, so okay, so now after and we read a word. Now that, the, and now what is a question word, just like how and whether. How is a question word, whether is a question word, so and what is a question word. So this is the correct answer. Now this is a simpler question, but there is another level of parallel construction that I wanted to show you with this question, right? Now when it's parallel, we talked about verbs being, types of verbs, prepositions being parallel, we have talked about that, but tense also needs to be parallel. So this is a question which has a tense parallelism also. We did not have to get into that because we got the correct answer using a simpler method, but I just wanted to show you the tense parallelism. So in some higher difficulty level questions, you might have to check the tense of each part as well. So the first part is how the directors of the corporations are to be elected. So this part is in what tense? What tense is it? Past, present, future. What tense is it? How the directors of the corporations are to be elected. What is the tense of this part? It's future, Rupal, because it says are to be elected. That means they have not been elected yet. So it's future tense. Read the second part. Whether the existing stockholders will have first right to buy. Okay, so will have. So this is also future, right? Now one way we could have done is that we could have read all these options, all the options, and see which one has a future tense, because the tense wise also they have to be parallel. And that the managements have duties. Now have duties is present, it's not future. The management committees have duties, again it's not future. Read option E. What the duties of management committees will be, future, right? So parallel construction, now this is not tested very often, but and it is like pretty high level parallel construction rule, that if 2-3 parts are getting joined, if 2-3 things, these are now not things, right? These are not eating, drinking and sleeping. These are now parts of sentences. 3 whole sentences are being joined. So now these parts, they have to follow the tense. They have to parallel in terms of tense also. If one part is future, the other two will also have to be future. If one part is present, the other two will also have to be present. Remember this. There are not many questions. There are not many questions where this rule is there in the official guide or whatever. But on the day of the exam, on a simple, on a like parallel construction question, if you are getting stuck, if you are not able to decide which one to go with, then as a last resort, check for the tense also. Okay? Everybody understood the tense part? So I hope you guys are taking notes. Okay. So Ayush, I think you missed the initial part. So in parallel construction, when we did a recap of parallel construction, so parallel construction, the things that you are joining, they have to be in the same form. If you are joining verbs, and all the 2-3 whatever you are joining, they have to be verbs. If you are joining the ing form of verbs, then all the 2-3 portions that you are joining have to be. So those are like outright or direct parallel construction. Now in this case you are joining 3 things, right? So 3 parts of sentences are being joined by and, right? So they have to be parallel in tense also. Tense, past tense, future tense, present tense, or past coming into present, double past, whatever it is, they have to be parallel. They have to be similar in tense also. This is not a very common rule, right? In parallel construction, the tense, GMAT does not usually test you on tense, whether the parts are parallel in tense or not. They usually don't test it, but in some higher difficulty level questions, you might get this. So on the day of the exam, if you get stuck on a parallel construction, question that you are stuck with 2 options or 3 options, and you don't know which one to go with, then as a last resort, check whether the things that are being joined by and whatever, or but, whatever is getting joined, all the items, whether they are parallel in terms of tense or not. Okay, is that clear now, Ayush? Ayush, are you a classroom student or an online student? Classroom. So classroom students, you do this in your first class, right? But of course in that you just do the basic thing, but it also has a very higher level parallelism error also. So Rupal and Ayush, you might have done it in your first class. You might have done this question in your first class. It's just that in the first class we don't go into the higher difficulty level rules. Okay, continuing. Everybody still awake? Okay, let's do this. Now this, I think somebody was talking about meaning, and also this question. I never said that you will be able to get to the correct answer only through parallel construction. I just said that you will be able to eliminate, you will be able to start the elimination process with parallel construction if you are able to identify the triggers, right? So that's what I said. So this is one question. Yes, everybody else? Yep. Where are you guys? Now, Suminder, you are way off. Okay. Now let's break it down. This is of course not a 10-second question. This will take you around 20 seconds, right? So we'll start with whatever we have learned till now. Did you guys spot the or? You guys spotted the or, right? I'm assuming. Yes. Okay. So, and after the or we have a verb show. Now that this is in the underlined portion, so this is correct. So whatever the portion we have, it should start with as verb, right? All this you were able to find, right? So let's see now. So here I see a retain. Okay, so I'm okay with this. I stick with this. I see retained. Be retained is not in the same format as show, so it's out. The retaining is also not the same format as show, so it's out. Employer's retention is noun, so that's out. To retain is again. So now I have to choose whether I need to go with option A or option E. So if you are down to option A and E, then that's okay. Then you have got the basics correct, right? Just by looking for parallel construction, we did not read anything. Just by identifying, just by spotting this or, and by applying parallel construction, we have been able to eliminate B, C and D, right? So now even if you don't know the next rule, your chance of getting the correct answer has increased by 50%. I mean, it's now 50%, otherwise it would have been 20%. Okay, so Suminder, you are complicating stuff, So now let's read it. Now, do we need the should retain or to retain? No. So and you have got that also. Let's read now. Governor Moore. See now in this, there's another little trick, whenever you have got stuff starting with capital letter, so don't worry about reading. Just read this as GM. GM has proposed legislation requiring. Okay, so requiring is the thing. Requiring is a very key word here. So requiring. So if I read A, it says requiring that employer should. Now this is another higher level word. So require means mandatory, right? You are saying I require you to do this kind of thing. Require is mandatory. Should is a recommendation. Whenever I say, oh, I think you should eat, or oh, he should not do this, it's not an authoritative word, right? So require is mandatory, is an order or kind of thing, and should is a recommendation. So required and should is the wrong pair. When you say I require you to do this, you never say that or you are required to carry your passport when you go for your GMAT exam. I mean, that's the correct sentence. You never say that it is required that you should carry your passport for your GMAT exam. So required and should, they are kind of, they have opposite meanings. Required means it's mandatory, should is a recommendation. That's why your option E is correct. Now this is where Rupal, of course the meaning and the higher level rule kicks in, but even if you are able to identify the or and start with parallel construction, you would have been able to eliminate B, C and D. Okay, so everybody clear with this question? Arnav, remember, this is where in this case it is A, B plus C. The 2 is out, 2 retain, 2 show. In this case it is following the format of, this 2 is outside. If it would have been 2 show also, it's okay. It both, 2 retain etc. or 2 show is correct. In that case then it is following the format AB plus AC. If it is just says 2 retain or show, that is also fine. The 2, because see, the or here is independent. The or here is independent. If it were a pair, either, or if it were a pair and it had 2, then after or you would have definitely needed the 2. Understood? But in this case the or is independent. It does not have a pair associated with it. Got it? Everybody clear with this question? Now we are slowly moving into more difficult questions where you are not getting the correct answer simply by parallel construction, but you are at least able to cut down on your time. Everybody still able to cut down on your time on this question? Were you able to cut down on your time? So train your brain to look in those 4 locations that we talked about, right? Suminder, are you clear? Could you understand? Okay, great. So this is fully underlined, look, so just, yeah. This is a little tricky. So this is a 30-second question, not a 10-second question. Yes, it should not be taking you guys that much time. Yes, it is slightly difficult, but still not that difficult. Okay, so here I'm sure all of you already know, but I am just going to recap or reiterate one more trick. Let's say there is something here, comma, something here and comma, and if this portion is describing this portion, then while just to make your life easier, don't read this portion. Just from this portion, just directly jump to the portion after the comma, right? So it will just reduce time. Okay, so this is just one rule. Keep this in mind, right? This is a trick. This is I would call this a hack kind of thing. So let's now let's proceed with this question. I see and, we see and, right? All of us see is and. So, but in some options we don't have the and. So, is the and required or not? Is this a parallel construction or not? So we go and so we read, right? So from this is it's not easy for us to see. So we so when we see, I see that there is a comma, there is a portion between two commas with the word which. That means this portion is clearly describing this portion, so I don't need to, just to make my life easier, I'm not going to read this portion because it is anyway not underlined. There's no error, there's not going to be any error in this, so why should I make my why should I increase my reading? So I just read, intended primarily to stimulate family summer travel, the new airfare. Okay, so this, the new airfare, what? The new airfare and, in case we need the and, so from new airfare I'm jumping to and. The new airfare and also shortens now does not make sense, right? So in this case we don't need the portions with and. So the new airfare, now I'm left with three options. Two of them says also shortens and one says also lessens. Do we need shorten or lessen? So what is it talking about? So I'll just pick up one option at random. I have picked up option C and I'm reading. Also shortens the advance purchase requirement for blah blah blah, minimum 7 days. Okay, so it's talking about time. So whenever you're talking about days, the days always gets shortened, it does not get lessened. So the option with lessen is wrong. So you always shorten period, time period is always shortened, never lessened. So now option C and E, which one should I go? So there's this cool little trick called horizontal scanning. I don't know whether you guys apply it or not. So I just compare the options till I come to the first point of difference. So also shortens, the advanced purchase requirement, for family travel, to a minimum, of 7 days, rather than. Now I've got this that of. That is my first point of difference. So now do I need this that of, right? So then 14, here I have got 14. So from 7 days to 14, that makes sense. A comparison with is for 7 versus 14. So I don't need the that here. What of 14? That's why option E is your correct answer. Everybody understood this? Any problem with any of these steps? Any issue with any of the steps? So the trick here is to, as I say, there are multiple tricks. You have to develop this. Once you cut this portion out, life becomes so much easier. No, that's another thing, Rupal. But in this case, you did not have to eliminate based on that. In this thing, your choice was whether you need the and or you don't need the and. That was your first point of, first decision point. So you checked and you realized you don't need the and, right? So you did not even have to get into that. So as I said, this is a little, this would have taken you 25-30 seconds if you cut all this stuff out. If you did not cut this stuff out, then it would have probably taken you longer. Okay? Everybody clear? Yes, no? So in this case, in this question, we did not use parallel construction, right? So I wanted to have this question to that as a check. Just because you see an and does not mean that it's going to be a parallel construction question, right? You have to see whether it's a parallel construction question or not. Okay. So can we do another question? Let's try this. Yes, it's an easy one. Come on. Okay, so some of you have got the correct answer, but again you have taken way too much time. So the moment I see this, what I saw was that there is an and in the beginning of the underlined portion and there is an and at the end of the end. So do we need two ands? You know, if it's joining three things, it should be A, B and C. It cannot be A and B and C, right? So just to confirm I read, blah blah blah, lived in a world in which public concern, you know, so the press, so it's talking about this world. Lived in a world in which something happened, comma, something, and so I don't need two ands, so my this thing is out, right? I also like to see that in which, right? Now remember, you know, it can be now in this case AB plus AC plus AD, right? It can be this also, right? Or it can be AB plus B plus C plus D, right? And I don't need the in which everywhere, but I can have it also, right? Now let's read. I have got the where. Now this is a problem, you know, it's talking about the same thing, this same word, so it should be in which. It cannot be the where. You know, there's no reason why the adverb will change from in which to where. So this is out. For, again, I don't have anything here for this, and Americas, it does not make sense because in this part, you know, so I've got the press. In this case it does not make sense anyway. Separate the press for, so there's nothing joining. I don't have anything here. Now here I have got this in which the press something and in which. Yes, it makes it very clunky reading, you know, it makes the reading very too many in whiches, but what to do? This is the correct option. You might have said that in this, did I eliminate just because I don't have the in which? What do you think? Did I eliminate just because I did not have the in which? No. In which, so if I have to see if it could have an in this format also, right? But it's not. If I say that in which is out, then I need a noun here, but it has the preposition. I don't need a preposition. So option C is not eliminated because it is not in this format. It is eliminated because if the for was not here and it was just the press, then it would have been fine, you know. Then it's the public, the press, Americans, so great. But I have this for which is throwing my parallel construction off. That's why I go with E. Even though it is like really clunky reading, very bad reading, you know, in which something, in which, you know, so many times in which is coming. But you are not supposed to pick an answer to be correct because it sounds nice or because the construction is beautiful. You have to pick something because it's correct. Everybody's okay with this question? Yes, true, very true. You have got the press and you have got the for. I don't have problem that C and D don't have the in which. That is not my problem. My problem is that it is not parallel. It you know, the public is outside, right? So I need a, you know, I need a noun. Everybody understood this question? Am I mean, I hope I'm not going too fast. You're able to keep up? Okay. Let's do this. Come on, you guys should not be taking that much time. See, after 30 seconds, even if you get it correct, it's like as good as getting it wrong, because in some other question you are going to get wrong because you took too much time. Yep. Again, don't read unnecessary words. So if you're coming down to A and C, then at least you're getting the basics correct, you know. Okay, let's start. Remember the 4 locations. Just, you know, when you're reading the question, just train your brain to look for these 4 locations. I see an and, I like it. I see whether, I mean, the first thing I test is, you know, the parallel construction. Right above and, you know, I also spot the both. Great, both always comes with and, you know that, right? Everybody knows this. Both always comes with and. Both cannot come with or anything else. Both always comes with and. So, and they are parallel. So whatever is after both. So see, once you identify a pair, it's far easier. It's far easier because you are reading just one word now, right? So I read in option A, both an acknowledgement and an effort. So it sounds good. I stay with this. I try to find a both. I see both of, then I see as well as. So both does not go it as well as. So this is out. Then again I try to see if there is a both. Okay, I see both acknowledge, great, which is a verb, and attempt. Okay, great. I stay with this also. They are parallel, right? Then I see both of and doesn't make sense. I need an of, right? I need an of, or I need some type of preposition. So this is, D is not parallel, out. Both acknowledge, great, verb as well as. Now both does not take as well as, it's out. Okay, now we are down with A and C. Both of them are correct. Both of them, in both these options I have the both paired with the and they are parallel. Which one do I choose? Now for that I have to read a little bit. So the CRB's reduction of interest rates on loans to financial blah 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 is both and something. So okay, sounds good. I don't see any error in this, so I still stick with this. Now the CRB's reduction of interest rates on loans, both acknowledge. Okay, now comes my problem. Reduction is what? Singular or plural? Singular, right? Reduction is singular. So for this to be correct, it should have been acknowledges and attempts. Out. A is your correct answer. So if you guys, just by simply applying the rules, if you are able to come down to A and C, so yes, you have got the first steps, right? After that you have to now another rule getting tested, which is subject verb agreement. So reduction is singular, so you need acknowledges and attempts. You don't have those, so that's out. Everybody clear? Rupal, you got this wrong, so you are clear now? So those of you who, I mean, are you kind of finding that, you know, you are able to do these questions faster? Yes? What do you think? Are you guys able to do these questions faster? See, Rupal, does not matter. Yes, you do need the ease, you know. Because of this is our verb, right? Because of this verb, you are now able to have a noun, na? If you don't have the verb, a sentence is incomplete without a verb. Is the verb of your sentence. But you don't have to go into all of that. No. Arnav, I don't require, I would, see, if you were in my class, I would actually not, I will like literally hunt you down till you are able to solve questions in less than 30 seconds. So my students are usually not a very happy lot, you know. Okay, let's come to this. So Arnav and Ayush, yeah, I know, but you have to, you have to save time with SC. You will be relatively stress free in RC. So that's how it works. Yes, what happened to the rest of you? Awake? Come on, you are thinking. You guys are overthinking. Okay, let's see. Let's try. Okay, so we see an and, which is good. So let's try and see what the and is joining. The and will be joining two or more things, right? So let's find what the two things are. Computers at FBI are now being asked to make judgments. So the ing does not work for me. Out. Being asked to make judgments and suggest courses. Okay, good. I'll stick with this. Now asking to make judgments and ing for out. Now ask that make judgments and suggest courses. Okay, this is also good. I stick with this. Computers for judgments and suggestions. Okay, this is also good, right? So by looking at parallel constructions, I have not read anything. I am just looking whether the and is joining similar things or not, right? Just by looking at that, I am able to eliminate A and C. Everybody with me till there? Okay. Now I'll go to a little another rule. See, you are lucky if you are able to get to the correct answer with only one rule. Now which I'll take up in the next session is what we call the comma subject rule, right? There are some complicated grammatical names to these rules. I don't care much, I don't care whether you guys know grammar or not, as long as you are able to get the questions correct, right? So the comma subject rule, the comma subject rule states that if the sentence is not starting with the subject, then the subject should come immediately after the comma, right? I'll give you an example. Our classroom students will be probably familiar with the example that John dropped his wallet. Now this is a kind of like a recap of a rule, right? So just bear with me. John dropped his wallet. These are dropped his wallet while he was walking out of the store. Okay, just too much to write, so I just remember. So John dropped his wallet while he was walking out of the store. So that is one sentence. Next sentence is walking out of the store, comma, John dropped his wallet. Sentence 3 is walking out of the store, comma, John's wallet fell down. So 3 sentences. Everybody heard the sentences, right? Everybody able to see the question? Everybody is able to hear me? So I am talking about our 3 sentences. Right? Everybody can see 2 sentences. Okay, so these are 3 sentences, right? First is John dropped his wallet while walking out of the store. Second sentence is walking out of the store, comma, John dropped his wallet. Third is walking out of the store, John's wallet fell, right? So in GMAT, this is the most preferred format where the sentence is starting with the subject, the main doer of the sentence or the hero of the sentence. The sentence is starting with that. This is the most preferred format on the GMAT. If in case this is not an option, if in case the sentence is not starting with the subject, then the subject must come immediately after the comma. Like in this question, walking out of the store. So we don't have the subject yet. We don't know who the sentence is going to talk about. So in that case, immediately after the comma, we must have the subject. Not 2 words after the comma, not 3 words after the comma, but immediately after the comma, right? This is what we call the comma subject rule. Now look at this third sentence. Walking out of the store, John's wallet fell, right? So who was John's wallet walking out of the store? John's wallet was not walking out of the store, right? It was John who was walking out of the store, right? So of these 3 sentences, your third sentence is wrong. The first 2 are correct. This being the most preferred format on the GMAT, in case this is not available, you should have this. Now the trigger for this, we have been talking about trigger, how to identify. Of all the 30-40 rules or even hundreds of rules that we are teaching you, we will be teaching you, you need to know which one to apply. So whenever the underlined portion starts after the comma, very high probability that so in this question is actually a very easy question. If you combine both these, both our parallel construction trigger and the comma subject rule trigger, this is a very easy question. By spotting the and here, you are down to 3 options. Then immediately after the comma means the next rule that you are going to see, that you are going to try and apply will be the comma subject rule, right? Now let's see whether the subject has already come or what's the subject of the sentence is. So we'll read. Used primarily in the past to store, retrieve and manipulate data, right? So what is the subject going to be? We have the option computers and FBI. So is FBI used to store, retrieve and manipulate data? No. So your subject is not FBI. The subject is computers. So the combination of, now this is remember the beginning of the session I told you that just by one rule you will not get to the correct answer, but a combination of rules. So today we talked mainly about parallel construction, but one of the common triggers of the comma subject rule is the comma. The comma, if the underlined portion starts, if immediately before the underlined portion, if there is a comma, then the next rule that you should try out is the comma subject rule, right? So if you knew both these things, this question again you would have been able to solve in less than 20 seconds, right? Those of you who did not pick B, are you now clear that B is the correct answer? How about the rest of you, all clear? So this was the last question of the day. So if you have any questions, you can ask. But no, just don't coming for a like webinar and solving some questions will not do it for you. You have to now then go back and apply these rules. It's, as I told you, it's extremely difficult to let go of whatever you have, you have learned. That unlearning part is difficult. You have to get rid of the habits. Don't read more than what is required. We have seen a lot of questions that the moment you identify a parallel construction pair, just read 1 or 2 words, that's it. Break the habit. And if you are not solving your SC questions in less than 30 seconds, then you might be in trouble in your GMAT exam. Let me put it to you like that. You will either get stuck on a SC question or CR question, or you will not have enough time to read the last RC passage. And GMAT is very tricky, very they're almost like mean, you can say. Most of the time the last 3-4 questions are less than RC passage. So if your time management will go out of the window if you are not able to solve your SC questions in less than 30 seconds. That should be, once you're done with your classes, once you are done with your videos, then when you are like doing the SC questions, time yourself. Your target should be to get questions correct in less than 30 seconds. Average, I'm not saying each question, but average. If you are doing an exercise of 30 questions, you should be done in 15 minutes. Okay, so I hope you guys learned something today. Yes, it was an advanced session, but it was more about applications of the basics, And so solving SC questions in 30 seconds, that will like push you to the 90th percentile, of this course. So that is anyway going to help. So push yourself. I am not going to be there to push you every day. You will have to do self pushing, I should say. So I think we have a session next Saturday, 12 o'clock. It's going to be on AWA. Again, AWA remains the most neglected section. I don't know why, but students tend to not pay attention to it. But that is the section where universities impose a cutoff. The AWA score cutoff for good universities is 4.5. There are hardly any universities that you will get admission if your AWA score is below 4. So next Saturday we'll be doing the AWA session again. I'll try to make it almost mathematical for you. You don't need to have like great writing skills. The AWA essay is not about writing skills, so we'll talk about that a bit. So Arnav has a question. Okay, I'm waiting for the question. Ayush, right now should I focus on getting the answer correct or solving? So Ayush, I don't know what you mean by right now. I mean, if you are already done with classes, so if you are then the focus should be on getting questions correct in the proper time. You should be like doing both. If you are still in your classes, if you are still in the classes, if you have not watched all the videos, then focus on getting questions correct. Don't worry so much about time. But if you are done with the basics, that is, if you have if you are done with watching the videos, if you are done with the classes, then you are on practice mode now. Then it has to be, after you're done with the basics, then it has to be getting questions correct in the right amount of time. Arnav is very it's very difficult question to answer. You're saying that if you're scoring around 15-20 of the online practice test, I don't know in what time, how much time are you taking? See, first of all, you will very few students will ever get the 25 out of 25 correct. You will make mistakes, but I would rather, if you're doing a 25 question exercise, I would rather have you get 20 correct in or 22 correct in 13 minutes than get 25 correct in 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So Arnav, 25-30 minutes is too much. Yep, you're taking too much time. You know, the GMAT verbal section is not just SC, right? And as I told you at the beginning of the session, that 41 minutes, 75 questions, not equally distributed, right? Okay, Nikhil, your question is a little confusing. He said, if we are to get 48, 50 in quant, how many correct answer required in verbal to get 700 plus? Okay, what you are saying is that if you get a 50 in quant, how much do you need in verbal? So you should target a 37ish, you know, out of the 60. You know, you need to target a 37ish, you know, then you will be comfortably, you will get a 700. Yeah. Now to get the 37, if you are asking me how many questions you have to get correct, that's a very wrong question. See, of the 41 questions, there will be some experimental questions also. In GMAT, I am sure you guys know that all the questions are not scored. In the maths 37 questions, you don't get marks for all 37 questions. In verbal, of the 41 questions, you don't get marks for all the 41 questions. There are experimental questions in between. So it's a difficult question to answer, that how many questions you need to get correct. By the way, have you guys heard about this new rule, right, in GMAT, that you can choose the order of sections? Okay, so Suminder, you know, earlier, like from July 11th, from 11 July, you can pick the where did I type? Hang on. From July 11, if you are taking your GMAT exam after July 11, you can pick the order of the sections. You know, right now the order in which your sections appear is AWA, IR, Q, and verbal, right? This is the order currently. So from July 1st, you can from July 11th, you can pick from these options. Now I would rather type, you know, because it's so these will be the 4 options. You can choose, either you can choose the AW, IR, QV order, or you can choose QV, IR, AW, or VQ, IR, AW. So now there a lot of people think, okay, let me get done with verbal first, you know, verbal is my weak section, so let me do my, you know, verbal first. I'm not very confident of that. The reason is that, you know, a lot of people feel that verbal is their weak section, and if the first section does not go well, then it might have a negative impact on quant, you know. So so if you think so, starting with your strong section makes actually sense, you know. If you do if you're stronger in math than in verbal, then I would say that you do the quant section first, so you'll get some confidence, you know, you feel good about, you know, confidence makes a lot of difference, and then you move on to the verbal section. That would be my if I were you, I mean, if I were to take the exam, I would do that. I will start with my strongest section, you know, just to make sure that I have got all of it down, you know. Just, I mean, if I can book my 151 in quant before moving to verbal, then nothing like it, right? On the other hand, if verbal is my weak section, I start with verbal and I feel that it didn't go well, it will take a toll on my quant performance also. That is my logic, but again, you know, it's up to you. Okay, then I think I have nothing else to. I'm done. So if you want to log out, you know, you can. Thank you all. I think it's the first time I'm doing a session with you. I hope you enjoyed it.